Thank you for tuning into another episode of Take 10 on Tuesday with the Tennessee Tribune. I'm Jason Luntz. Now, as you may know, in Nashville, we're in the middle of an exciting political scene right now. We have people running for mayor, for council at large, council members. It's a lot going on in the city of Nashville. Today I want to invite somebody that represents a younger generation that traditionally doesn't vote as much. I'm with Leah Dupree. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. So Leah, I invited you here today because you are a millennial and you're very active in government, and you also have a great announcement that you're running for a position in government.
Yes.
So I thought it'd be good if maybe we can talk a little bit about what has gotten you so much into politics and maybe a little bit about your campaign.
Okay. Well, I first got my first touch of the political scene when I was a junior in college at Tennessee State University. I was a legislative intern for the Department of Human Services. And with that, I was able to work with someone like myself, a legislative liaison, and I was able to track bills, work with members on bills that they were trying to pass that affected that department. So that was my first taste, I guess 12 years ago now.
Wow.
Yes, 12 years ago. And then after graduation, I moved to Indiana for law school and grad school. But I knew I always wanted to come back to North Nashville and work in the community because North Nashville is TSU, TSU is North Nashville, and I really, really enjoy my time here.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let's talk about what you're doing currently. So the experience you had in undergrad is similar to what you're doing now?
Yes, so in undergrad, I actually worked for myself, if that makes sense. So right now, I am a legislative liaison for the Department of General Services, which means that I handle all constituent issues that deal with that department and also help draft legislation and shape policy for the Department of General Services.
And when you were in college, you were working for someone that had a similar position to what you hold now?
Yes, I was working with someone who did it for the Department of Human Services.
Okay, okay. So now, what is a day like that? I mean, you're just dealing with all types of people. Are you downtown Nashville? What are you usually doing?
I'm downtown at Tennessee Tower, the Snodgrass building. And so a typical day will differ depending on where you are in legislative session. Legislative session normally runs from January until April, May. And when session is in, we have committee meetings and we're on the Senate floors, the House floors. And when bills are introduced by the members, we'll go through the bills every day to see what bills were introduced that may affect our department. And my department deals with state real estate, state contracts, and state procurement. Most of the bills deal with that. So any bill that deals with those topics, I look at it to see how it will affect my department, and then we'll either lobby for or against the passage of that bill. Wow.
Now, that's a lot, and to me it sounds like a lot of very interesting things. Do you think that the average 18 to 35-year-old, because when I say younger, that's the group I'm really targeting, would they be interested in knowing more about what you do and how these policies are enacted and laws are made?
I think so. Unless you're in that world, you really just don't know what it means or how a bill becomes a law. Like, we've all watched, you know, the I'm Just a Bill cartoon, but you really just don't know how the process works and all the people that are involved that have to come to the table to make a compromise to make something law. And so I don't think a lot of people realize that, and so I think a lot of people would benefit if they did know that. And so oftentimes I try to, when I can, you know, go to the middle schools, go to the high schools and talk to them about how bills actually become a law, because it's so important, because bills affect our everyday life. Yes,
they really do. Wow, that's great. Now, you also are currently running for a council position, correct?
I am. I'm running for Metro Council District 21.
Wow, District 21. So that's right here in this area that the Tribune is located.
Well, actually, very close. A couple of streets over. This is District 19.
Okay.
And I will be in 21, which starts at 18th and D.B. Todd when you're on Jefferson Street.
Okay. So your alma mater, TSU, is part of?
Yes. Yes, it is. I live 2 blocks from TSU. Well, a couple of blocks down from TSU.
Great. So now that you've worked on one end of government and saw policies made, do you feel that will help you if you are elected on council?
Oh, absolutely. I think that you know, we've all talked about, we all know there's going to be a huge turnover and a huge experience level with the new people that are coming to the council. And so I think one advantage that I may have on some of the people that are coming to the council is that I already know how a bill becomes a law. I already know how to work with different lobbyists and interest groups. I already know what it takes, to draft legislation. Prior to coming to the Department of General Services, I worked for a state senator, and we had to deal with over 190,000 constituents.
Wow.
So I know how to do constituent services and the importance of being accessible to your constituents. And so I think, being, I'll just say a director of constituent services, as well as working as a liaison for the Department of General Services, I think both of those experiences will really help me be a great council person.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. I can actually see that. Now, do you feel, or rather, are there a lot of other people in your age group running for council? Right
now, there's about, I think maybe in District 17, there's a couple of young people. But when you say millennial, for some people that means 20-year-olds.
Yes.
I oftentimes feel like I'm out of the millennial age group, but there are some people in their 30s running. Yes.
Well, that is true. Yeah, I mean, I guess the generational thing is, millennials can be 20, some can be early 30s. Mm-hmm. You're right. So, but I think that maybe the age group you're in, though, you have a viewpoint mm-hmm. that maybe some of our other citizens do not have.
Yes, I feel like being 32, you can connect with the older generation and then the younger generation. I think being in your mid to late 30s will be a good age to bridge both of those age groups together and those demographics together.
I definitely agree. Mm-hmm. And just changing gears a little bit, do you think there's any advice we can give or ways that you think we can get younger people to come out and vote?
I think we live in a social media world, and I think a lot of younger people are getting more involved. I think with the election of President Obama, the first time that he ran, I think that really did something to the younger generation. Mm-hmm. They actually saw how their vote and how their group could really change the course of an election. And so I think that coupled with being in the social media age, we get information right there. You don't have to even research anymore. The information just falls into your lap. Mm-hmm. And so I think, staying current but still doing your research on your own too, I think that's probably the best advice, is just to always stay current and register to vote.
Yes.
Make sure you're registered to vote. And so that's the first thing, is register to vote.
Yes, you need to register to vote. We saw how a situation like that, just something as simple as like what happened in Ferguson. Mm-hmm. If more African Americans actually registered to vote, they could have been on those juries and there could have been a difference. Mm-hmm. So yeah, registering to vote can play, not just for voting, but it can play a lot.
Yes.
And finally, I wanted to see, so you went to undergrad here.
Yes.
And where are you from originally?
I'm from West Tennessee, Jackson, Tennessee.
Okay, so you're from Tennessee, but West Tennessee. Mm-hmm. You went to college here. You left for a little while, but you've been back.
Yes.
I just wanted to know, how do you feel about all the explosion and growth in Nashville, and in particularly what's going on in North Nashville?
Okay, well, when I was here at TSU, North Nashville, it needed some work then, and then I left for 4 years, and I came back. Nashville looks so different, but North Nashville looked the exact same. Wow. And so that kind of triggered something in me to say, we need someone in here. Not even the elected official, but just people. We need people who are able to educate our people on what's going on in District 21, empower them to do something about it, and make sure that they're actively engaged in the process so that they can see how their influence can positively change their situations. Great. And so I really feel like that we need growth, but it needs to be responsible economic development, making sure that we are always aware of what's going on, make sure that we are in contact with developers when they come, because there's nothing wrong with growth. There's nothing wrong with growing and building, but you don't want to lose the character of your neighborhood or the history of Jefferson Street or North Nashville in the process. So there's ways to do both of those things, to preserve our past and as well as prepare for our future.
Well, that's great. That's great information right there. I really appreciate you sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Before we let you go, do you have a website or some social media that you can actually share with our audience?
I do. My website is Dupree for District21.com. My Twitter, Facebook, and also Instagram is Link with Leah.
See, that's great. And there's something to learn from a younger person right there. Always have your social media the same down the road. I really like that.
Thank you.
And once again, you've been tuning into Take 10 on Tuesday with the Tennessee Tribune. See you next time.